Hey, I am making us live.
You live there?
Uh, Not yet.
Good evening. I'm Jerry McIntosh, and this is Our Voices, the People's Media. Today, we're going to address Project 2025 again, along with some of the other things, other hot topics. But first, we're going to our host, Mrs. Jill Daggs, who is the chair of the Okaloosa County um, Democrat Party there, Mr. Derek Scott, who the chair of the Scamming Democrat Party. Mr. Bill Stowe is the author of the great book, From the Project to the Boardroom. Mr. Vernon Watson, who is the proprietor and owner of WBQP TV, where you be watching this show on, along with on YouTube, Fire Stick, and Roku. And we have a special guest with us this evening. I'm gonna let Derek introduce our special guest tonight. Derek.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We are very fortunate to have a special guest with us who is going to be talking about Project 2025. And I am happy to introduce Ms. Sylvia Lake. Sylvia, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you.
Great, great. So I understand you are going to share with us a little bit about 2025. Could you share with us how you got started, who you are? Tell us a little bit about yourself, or I should say how you got started, and then you can dive right into it.
Sure. Okay. So I am native and I am also Mexican, born in Minnesota, raised in Texas, and lived in Los Angeles for about 16 years. I'm a professional actor. What that means is I'm in the union. And I read Project 2025. I graduated in 2007 from St. Edward's Catholic University. And the question that I answered in my capstone was, should churches pay taxes if they preach politics at the pulpit? And in 2007, there wasn't a lot of material out there. And when I read Project 2025, I absolutely could not believe what I was reading. The more I dug, the more I put everything together. I already had my eye on the Federalist Society, and then it just became one big loop. And I could see the writing on the wall. I could see that I needed to talk about it. So I moved from LA to Florida, the reddest state I could think of. And since I grew up in Texas, and I interviewed with the Biden administration. I interviewed with 3 states and I got 2 out of the 3. But by that time, I had my hand in, I was just going to all meetings, doing all kinds of research. I just felt that I needed to start an organization to promote voting, to talk about Project 2025. So I turned those jobs down with the Biden campaign so I could found a company called Protect America Vote. And all I do is go around to all parts of Florida. You can find me at farmers markets. You can find me at a drag show. You can find me at the Democratic headquarters in Bay County and Panama City. The Vote and Vax. Anywhere somebody will hear me, I am there to talk about Project 2025. So I'm very happy to be here.
You're on mute there.
Thank you. Do you want to go ahead and just jump into it? Tell me where to
Absolutely.
begin.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so where I like to start with Project 2025, and I have this board back here that I made that I can just carry around real quick. I can either do a PowerPoint or I can do this. I also made the brochure. The brochure, I made these tools because I kept hearing everybody say, Google it, when they talked about Project 2025. And it really frustrated me because I felt like this is something that people needed to talk about. So I created the website, I created the brochure. I read it. I put some points in here. I did a whole photo shoot with local people here in Bay County. And they have a QR codes in the back, one for vote.org, so people can check their status. My website, on the inside, I have the actual code for Wikipedia. I thought that out of everything I read, the Wikipedia site was really easy to read. So jumping into the PowerPoint here, a little bit about the history. So what I wanted to answer was how does this affect us, right? Does it affect you? Because some people think that it's not happening and it doesn't affect them. And I believe that by the end of this, I think we all know it's going to affect everybody. So a little bit about on the next slide here. I don't know if I can move that along. Okay, so we're going to talk about who's funding Project 2025, the Christian Nationalist Agenda, and why did they pick Trump and Vance specifically? All right, so moving on. This is the big part. This is about the history. How did we get here? So over here, you'll see Joseph Coors with the cross coming out of him or on top of him. Joseph Coors, he actually founded the Heritage Society. He founded the Heritage Society in 1973. And in 1981, they presented Ronald Reagan with the very first version of Project 2025. It was called the Mandate for Leadership. They gave it to Reagan. Reagan loved it so much that he implemented 60% into his administration. And I think we can all know that by now we realize that Reaganomics wasn't that great for the majority. It was more geared towards corporate and the upper echelon of the people in America who have the most money. So in 1974, we have Clarence Thomas down here at the bottom. Clarence Thomas graduated from Yale Law. Clarence Thomas is also married to Jenny Thomas. And Jenny Thomas in the early 1980s was a member of an organization that was a business cult, and that's called LifeSpring. So I think this is super important because from what I've researched, I have found that some of the tactics and some of the ways reflect cult-like activity. So right after LifeSpring, Jenny Thomas was rescued by an organization. And what they did is they would kidnap people from cults, and then they would assimilate them into society again. So she was a part of that organization for 2 decades. It is very important for me to say to you guys that they do not claim her anymore. They felt that the work she did with QAnon was outlandish, and they don't know, they just believe that it's all that QAnon was cult-like activity, and they just could not even imagine that she had a part of that. And I bring this up because yes, she is married to Clarence Thomas, and they claim that they keep everything separate. She's also a member of the Heritage Foundation. So we know that she's had a hand in moving things along for the Heritage Foundation with also the Federalist Society. So moving on to the Federalist Society, the Federalist Society was created between law students in Yale, Harvard, and Chicago law schools. And that was in 1983. So now we have the Thomases as a couple, they're united, and we have Clarence Thomas as a member of the Federal Society. The Federal Society was founded by Leonard Leo. He's this gentleman over here on the far side. And Leonard Leo is right above or right below a billionaire whose name is Barry Seid. Barry Seid is super important in all of this because he has put his billions into making the Federal Society. He has coined something called, let me see real quick. I want to get this right. he has coined something called attack philanthropy. His entire agenda is to deny climate change, to give businesses rights over workers, and to defund Medicaid and any type of service medical wise for the community. So those are his big ones. He also has in 2020, he made a deal. He owned a company called Trip Light that was worth, I think, $1.6 billion. And he brokered a deal to give it to Leonard Leo through a different organization. So that those funds go towards the conservative movement, which is where we have the Federalist Society. So when they brokered this deal on the side, of course, Barry's side saved $400 million in the deal. Big surprise. So some notable members of the Federalist Society, the SCOTUS Six. The SCOTUS Six includes Amy Coney Barrett, Justice Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Alito, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, Gorsuch. Other members, Ron DeSantis, Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, Eileen Cannon. So basically what Barry Side has done through Leonard Leo is he has connected this entire system of conservative judges who are pushing things through. This is why we've lost a lot of our rights currently. And I think we know that living in Florida, DeSantis has done a very open job of using Florida as a testing ground for a lot of these, for their vision, for the conservative far right vision for Christian nationalists. Some of those include loosening the restrictions on testing waters. They completely defunded the all of the arts because he said it was woke. They just tried to build all over the parks. The whistleblower made us let us know about it, and what did he do? He got fired. They stopped it, but he got fired. And in Project 2025, one of the many things and departments that they're going to discontinue are whistleblower protections. That's just one of many. Okay, moving on to the movement, the Christian National Movement. I want to talk a little bit about the Ziklag charity. And that's another thing is the Ziklag charity is also a charity like the Heritage Foundation. These are charities. However, you will find Trump's name in Project 2025 many times. You also find Clarence Thomas's name. They also reference Elon Musk's Twitter files in Project 2025. They were able to get it into that 922 pages. But moving back over to Ziklag, the Ziklag movement started, or charity started in 2018. There's about 125 members of Ziklag. The couples in the middle above the Federalist Society picture there, those are the greens and the U lines. Some of the main members also include the owners of Jockey. The greens are Hobby Lobby, and the U lines are U-line plastics. So the interesting thing about Ziklag, Ziklag is the name of a town that David stopped in that he used to create a battleground for the different wars that he was, or it was where they put their ammunitions for the battles. So that was the city of Ziklag. So they call themselves the Ziklag charity. And it's, if you're a member, you're a Ziklagger. And the interesting part, most interesting to me, there's so much of this, is that they believe that prophets walk the earth and that Donald Trump is their prophet. They also believe that some of their members are apostles. So this is part of the mindset. There is a great article that ProPublica put out, and I sent Derek a link to that article if he wants to put it up somewhere where people can read it, where they've completely laid out their plan. There's videos. I mean, I believe the Project 2025 itself, they have over 30 videos out on specifically on their plans. These folks are not keeping this to themselves. And I believe that's a gift because we can talk about it. We can be educated about it. We can know what we're up against. So the Zicklaggers have spent maybe, I think, 14 million with their movement. And some people have said, oh, well, that's not very much money. But they have loyalists. Why is that important? The loyalists, they say they have a database of about 10,000 people. And if you were to go over to the Heritage Foundation's website, there's an application process where you can also be a member of the movement, which I don't recommend to anybody. I need to be loud and clear about that. What they're doing, though, is they are sourcing people, loyalists, to their profit, because if this would be profit, Trump, or in my opinion, any Republican who were to take office, J.D. Vance, who is also a member of the Federalist Society. And another interesting note, J.D. Vance's wife clerked for Justice Roberts and Brett Kavanaugh. So everybody has their hands in there somewhere. But back to their database. So if we move on to the next frame here, what will happen? Let's say if their so-called profit becomes president, right? What if? Like, I don't even want to think that like that. But what if they've told us, and some have been very open about it. Sometimes Trump will say this is going to happen, and then the next day he'll say, I didn't say that. We all know how much, anyway, the point is, the very first thing they're going to do, day one, is they are going to take away people's jobs, the civil servants. They are going to fire people. So if we move to the next frame here, we have the Department of State, the Department of Justice, the Federal Communications, the FCC, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, and the Department of Commerce. All of these branches are already under the executive branch. The difference is that they're going to fire all of the current civil servants, and they will replace them with loyalists. And like I said, they've already been compiling a list of loyalists. And the reason why they want to move the Zicklaggers in there is so they don't question the person in charge now, right? The Republican would-be president, because he will have total say. So in doing that, if we move over to the next frame here, what can we expect? On day one, they're going to fire everybody and replace them. During their 180-day program, one of the very first things that Stephen Miller will do, Stephen Miller, the gentleman responsible for separating families at the border, that Stephen Miller, he will be charged of mass deportations, concentration camps, and make sure that we have troops on the street. These four departments, the Department of Justice, the National Guard, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Firearms Department, Tobacco and Firearms, they're going to deputize these four groups, and they will have them round up immigrants and people who are not loyalists. And that's where the mass deportations and concentration camps, I believe just last week, Trump was saying that they were going to go to numbering the immigrants. Somebody asked me about a wall. Well, they're not really going to need a wall if they're putting people in camps. These are not my words. This information is public information, and it is in their 922-page Project 2025 manifesto. So moving on to the next frame, something else that we can expect. the next frame, it talks about abolished government agencies. These are agencies that they want to completely do away with. And I didn't cover all of the agencies in here. I did as many as I could. So we have the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. This is important because they want to go to cryptocurrency. So if they do away with the Department of Treasury, then they are able to have gold and platinum and silver and crypto as the currency over dollars. So I don't know about you guys, but I know I have experience, over 10 years experience with crypto. And what I know is that it's super expensive and elitist. It's not something that every American can have. The other thing they want to do is they want to completely do away with the Federal Trade Commission, Department of Commerce, the Department of Homeland Security. And this really surprises me because so many of our veterans work for Homeland Security or TSA. TSA is under Homeland Security. So they're looking at doing away with a lot of jobs. Again, this is a 180-day program. This isn't on the first day because they're going to use Homeland Security to round up and put people in camps. So just remember that. The other thing that they want to do is they want to do away with police, traditional police, because they feel they are bureaucrats and they are not loyalists. They feel like they have been brainwashed into the Biden and Obama administration. So they want to do away with them. And instead, they want to put our troops on the street to take care of those traditional jobs that police officers would do. So they also want to get rid of the Department of State. The Department of State is foreign affairs. These are our allies, our current allies. They want to completely do away with all of that. So basically, in my opinion, they want to alienate the United States. They want us to be by ourselves without our traditional allies that we're used to. It just breaks my heart. The next thing they want to do is get rid of the Department of their main goal is during this 180-day period, they're going to go to vouchers. They're going to go to allowing private religious schools to get funding from traditional schools. Like I think it's like 7,000. They're already doing this in Houston. I know that they're doing this in Texas already. And I think parts of Florida. I know that there are some libertarians who think this is the best thing on earth. Let's get rid of the Department of Education. I'm telling you, this is a package. We don't get to just pick one thing that we like about Project 2025 and say, this is what we're going to do. So let's keep that in mind, please. So now moving on to the next frame, I'm just going to talk about some of the programs that they are going to, these are more of the programs that they're going to just completely do away with. The Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965, this is Head Start. NOAA, which is in Florida, we know pretty important when you have a hurricane, I think like 3 knocking on our door right now, about to pass over Florida, and we just had Helene, like it doesn't stop. So doing away with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, I don't think is a very smart deal. And that might sound crazy, but what they want to do is they want to privatize and they want to make money off of these programs. They want to give it to corporations to run instead of it being under the federal umbrella. I know there's a lot of people upset right now about FEMA. This is a tactic. We have the GOP who is not allowing FEMA to do their job or to accept funds. And then FEMA looks bad. It's all a setup. So when it's just like when Biden gives Florida money at 3 days before Helene hits, but then DeSantis doesn't accept it until he's ready. So we have days where people are struggling and they don't have power, don't have communications. And who do they blame? They blame our president, even though the funds have sat there. The other thing they want to get rid of is the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. This is chips and science. There are so many different, this is one of the best bipartisan bills that I believe passed recently. I think so many passed. Basically what they want to do is they just want to upend all of the work that the Obama administration and the Biden administration did and completely do away with it. The infrastructure bill, all of that stuff. You guys remember when the bridge fell and it took Pete Buttigieg a record time to get that bridge back up when that ship liner ran into it? That work gone. Right now, Pete is in North Carolina working his A off for us and all Americans equally to rebuild those roads ASAP. And I think $100 million just went from the Biden administration to do that. This is the kind of stuff, the kind of reaction that I don't think we're going to see if Project 2025 goes into order, if we lose this presidency. Some of the other things here that I added, these are icons for things we already know. DEI, they want to, the LGBTQ, women's rights. These are things that we've seen and talked about. Those things are completely, almost in some states, we are seeing the effects already. So I won't go into too much of that because I think we've already been living it. So moving on to the next frame, I wanted to include some of the different programs that are going to be defunded, deregulated, or will cost more. Something that I was really super surprised about is farmers. They are going to take away, they just passed a huge, like $1 trillion bill for farmers. It was bipartisan. It was good work. It was both sides saying yes for farmers. And the Project 2025 just completely takes all of that away. So I don't understand, unless they plan on making it all go corporate and have automated, workers out there. They're killing immigration. They are, I don't get it. I don't know what the future stands for farmers in this light. So they want to take endangered species off the list, no more lists. They want to do a lot of deregulation, and they want to do a lot of note taking. Not note taking, data sourcing. So if someone, I'll give you an example with the VA. Let's say the VA, they see 30 patients a day. Okay, that might seem kind of high, but they see 30 patients a day. They want to take away all of their ability. First of all, they want to privatize it. They don't want it to be the VA anymore. They want to let that go. They want to let people go to doctors that the state has said this person's a doctor. They won't have to file paper, keep the kind of records that we normally do. And they want to do this so they make more money and they see more patients. They want them to see between 52 and 55 patients a day. So they're just not really caring about the health side, just trying to make the money side. Of course, all of the good work that we put into prescriptions there's no more negotiating for prescription costs. That'll be out the door. Somebody made the point the other day and they said, oh, well, that was Trump's idea, $35 for insulin. Trump reminds me of a saying where you can get the job, but can he do the job? Okay, so maybe it may have been his idea to do $35 insulin, but did he do that? Did he really do that? No, he left it up to the individual insurance company. We need a president who will go in there and their administration will make sure that these things happen. So it's easy for Trump or for Biden to push through the $35 prescriptions for diabetes, because that was what Trump said. So it's easier to go to the Republicans, to the GOP, and say, Well, it was Trump said 35. So they got to say yes because it was, so it's a game. But I think that Biden's been pretty darn good about playing the game and getting things passed. So I think labor is huge here. I had a picture up in the other way back in the history side with Elon and Peter Thiel. The labor is interesting here because they want to deregulate labor. They know all of the business owners will have say over labor rights. They want to get rid of unions. Elon Musk is sitting on a lot of havoc, a lot of lawsuits because of how he dealt with labor. Anywhere from sexual misconduct with him and his employees to degradation of women to racial effects on his properties. I mean, it's why he wanted to move from California to Texas. So there's less regulation. The way he fired everybody at Twitter around the world, not just in the States, but around the world, the less he has in having to go through with the laws, the better. And Trump has already said that he wanted to make him in charge of firing everybody. I mean, can you imagine what a better person than for someone like him to go in and do that? The other thing that the other person, Peter Thiel, I included him because he and Trump, I mean, he and Elon Musk both were co-founders or were founders at PayPal. PayPal, as y'all know, probably Elon went on vacation and then they fired him. They ousted him. I think he went on to do okay in the end, but they ousted him. Peter Thiel ran the whole way with PayPal. I don't believe he's there anymore. He has another company. It's called Planeteer. It's kind of hard to pronounce. Planetir. I believe this is important because with his Planeteer, he made $127 million during the whole Trump administration when ICE separated all the people at the border. There's still over 1,000 kids that they haven't been able to place back with their parents. They haven't been able to find them. They're misplaced. So it's kind of interesting that he has the data. He made 127 million, but where are they? The other thing is he is also responsible for wanting to monitor women's menstrual cycles. So why do they need this information? He wants women to wear ankle bracelets that give them that data. It's kind of strange. I believe, the other thing that Peter Thiel did is he gave J.D. Vance $10 million for his campaign to win his seat. And that's why J.D. Vance is where we are. Oh, J.D. Vance also worked for PayPal for Peter Thiel. So we have that. And now that I think about it, I'm not sure if J.D. Vance worked at PayPal. I know he he worked for Peter Thiel right after. There's so many of these little groups and names. I'll have to get back on that. But that's where the connection is. That's why we have people where we have them. We have the Christian Nationalists, the Heritage Foundation. We have Leonard Leo, who is the master over the Federalist Society. You guys, he is a member of Opus Dei. Opus Dei is a far-right Christian, far-right Catholic sect within all of Catholicism. They're a small group, but they have these big beliefs in how America should be run, and they want to take it all the way back. All of these groups, some are Protestant, some are, like I said, mostly Catholic. Just know that as Christians, we will not be as great or grandiose as their groups, if that's the best way to describe it. they are going to be superior to other Christians. How's that? So I remembered whenever I read something about they're going to ask people who want to work for the government, their government, the very first question they're going to ask is, who are you loyal to? That's how they're going to decide who they keep and who they fire. Who are you loyal to? Who are you loyal to? That is how they're going to decide. So that's pretty much the whole deal in a nutshell. Who does it affect? It affects all of us. How do we get out of this? We have to vote. Tomorrow is the last day for registration. Everything that I did is set up to talk to all Americans, Democrat, I don't care, red, blue, white, yellow, green, everybody. I'm not trying to get people to change their vote. I am trying to get people to understand where we all stand as Americans. This is an American thing. And I did an interview on MSNBC, a segment. I was in a focus group, and it was run by Frank Luntz. He is a Republican moderator. And I was really lucky. They kept almost my entire segment. The only part they cut out was when I said I didn't want to wake up Russian. They kept where I said I did not want to wake up a Christian nationalist because of Project 2025, that I thought the RNC convention was like a wrestling match, that J.D. Vance was the most unlikable American I could possibly imagine to run our country, and that I did not believe that Trump or any Republican should be in office this next term because their party has been kidnapped. They need time to heal. They are not the party that my parents were members of. They are far out and gone. So when QAnon stepped into offices back in 2018, we lost a lot of old time Republicans. They saw the writing on the wall from the inside. So on the local level, they were able to get in more QAnon members to take their seats. Well, in 2020, those members, because Trump did not win, okay? Those members were now in the nook of the Freedom Caucus, which is another group. I keep thinking, I'm trying to think if you guys know the Freedom Caucus, the number one at the Freedom Caucus, his name starts with a J. I can't believe his name has slipped my mind. He's the one that got the Medal of Freedom from Trump like 6 days after the insurrection. Anyway, he's the number one at the Freedom Caucus. Yeah, they're all in this together, and it's all world domination, moving the Christian nationalist theories and their beliefs into all of our society. So this is already happening. It's already happening in Louisiana. We got the commandments in every school there. The other thing, I think a couple days ago, they said they wanted to put in Trump Bibles. There is a Trump Bible. It costs, I think, $55 or $65. And Louisiana has purchased a Bible for every room, I believe, at their schools. I think they rank like 48 or 49, like on the education level. I would think that they would want to spend that money into educating their students instead of buying these Bibles. And I'm all for the Bible. I'm not trying to say I'm not. It just completely blows me away. So thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Panel people?
I'm just going to say that the Bibles that is Trump Bibles. So I guess the money go to Trump. That 60-some million dollars that they're going to spend on Bibles for children in the classroom, where more than likely they're going to get sued and lose that case. Hopefully, because that is not the separation of church and state. That's forced religion on people. There are people in the school system in those places, Muslim and other religious beliefs, other faith, but they are going to force, that is a testing ground again, where they're going to force people to do what they want to do through this Christian nationalist thing that they got going And unfortunately, um, some people are for it, and that's going to destroy the very system that many poor and middle class people are going to, and as far as the school system, because if they can get away with it, then they can get away with spending that money elsewhere on private schools and everything else that they are doing there. Um, so I hope that all of the organization like the ACLU and all uh, come on board and sue their pants off so they can never do this again. But then it might end up in the Supreme Court where you get the Clarence Thomas of the world who will uphold something like that. Hopefully, the courts will settle this and then not get to the Supreme Court, but it very well can get to the Supreme Court because they're going to continue to try to push uh, these Trump Bibles on people to get that money into the hands of the Republican Party and Trump himself.
So you bring up a really good point. There's a lot of talk about women, doing away with reproductive rights. So they want women to have children, right? But they're doing away with Head Start. They're doing away with WIC, the Women Infant Children Program, for milk and eggs and basics, cheese, cereal. They're doing away with these programs. They're doing away with immigration, and we need immigrants to rebuild all these homes that get washed away, and basic jobs, right? And I personally grew up in foster care for 14 years. I was awarded the state of Texas and emancipated in 1990. And from my experience, my mom had 12 children. 9 of us grew up and went into foster care. All of my brothers and sisters who had children, their kids went into foster care. I was the only one who chose not to have children, who went to college, who didn't live that lifestyle. And when I really think about the experience, they also want to do foster care that's privatized. So they want to make it a moneymaker. The other thing they want to do is they want to take away rights from parents quicker. If a parent loses a child to the foster care system, they're going to give them a very, very short amount of time to make it right. I grew up in the system. I saw kids where it worked. They took them and they did what they needed to do and they got their kid back. That's going to be gone. They're going to give them a very short window. So when I put all this together, I'm like, why are they doing this? And the only thing I could think of is labor, because they're also loosening restrictions on labor laws for children. They believe, word for word, they believe that there are kids who prefer to live a fast lifestyle and want to work in risky situations, and that they should just be able to, and that's it. So they want to have kids working in meat plants and, I just construction jobs and, just as long as their parents say it's okay. So if you get your kid taken away like that and they go into someone who's there for the money, and I've been in that situation myself, or my foster parents did that to me, that's all I could think of. Labor. They're looking for labor, easy labor.
Well, with them talking about deporting uh, hundreds of thousands of people um, and putting others in camps, it's just like that's going to be forced labor. You're going to have to work while you're in those camps, just like in the prison system. Uh, they are forcing people to work daily without compensation. And if it is compensation, is maybe a dollar, maybe 30 some cent an hour or something like that in some places. In some places they're not getting anything at all. So it's unfortunate that they are pushing it. You think about if they get rid of the immigrants in this country, food prices going to go through the roof. Clothing, everything that you can think of processing plants, everything going to go up because uh, immigrants keep our food prices low. Who's going to go out there and do the work that many of them do? Many of the immigrants keep roofs on our houses, and you think about what's going on in the Carolinas and Georgia and other places, even here in Florida, that without the immigrants and people who know how to put roofs on houses, we was, there are places still, like Mustang Beach and other places are still recovering after all those years ago that it was hit. I think about 4 or 5 years ago, and they still recovering. And they are saying that it's going to take between 15 and $30 billion for recovery, just in Carolina alone, because of how devastating it was there. And some 227 people are dead from that storm. And this is why it's unfortunate that they don't want to do anything about climate change. And these people was up on top of mountains, where they flooded and was washed away. Uh, and there are places in the Carolinas where water is still hadn't received yet. I mean, yeah. So, Christina, you got anything you want to ask Miss Lake?
No, I'm just grateful for all the information and being here today. It was a lot, and just seeing all those connections it's striking.
Yeah.
I have these brochures, and I have given Derek a lot. Have more. I just got some in yesterday, like 7,000 more. These brochures, I cannot fit 922 pages in one brochure, but it gives you a really good snapshot of the different things that we're going to lose, the different freedoms, the different things that we're used to. Basics. I mean, literally basics. So, I'm sure they still have some up at their HQ. If anybody wants to go by and get one of these brochures, talk to people about it. We still have time. We still have time. We don't have a lot of time. We're less than 30 days out, but a lot can happen in a very short amount of time. I believe that with all my heart.
Yeah.
Good evening. It is, I don't know, I thought I knew 2025, but you broke it down so well.
Thank you.
That I wish, matter of fact, I was sending Derek a text and like, do you have the PowerPoint? But do you have what she's saying? Because the PowerPoint is great, but I need all those fabulous words that you're saying so they understand the connections and how it weaves and how it's going to impact everyone. So I think that's great. I would also say the next event that we have, like in Okaloosa, I would love for you to join. And I'm sure Derek will share some of your pamphlets, but if you are ever in our area,
yes,
reach out. I'd love to share it. I would say, at least on behalf of the Black Caucus, that I would love to have that in our packet so people could have the information.
absolutely.
Not the chair. So I need to make sure that our chair says yes, but at all our different events, we absolutely can have it. We have several that are coming up, and it would be great to have that there so people can take it, look at it, go to your website and get more information. So just thank you for putting so much into this to educate those that might not really understand and truly think that some people are just making it seem like it's as bad as it is and not realizing it really is catastrophic.
So what I did with the website is I wanted it to be a tool, and I wanted to welcome to Republicans. It's got a lot of red in it. I booked the villages for next week, or this week. Hopefully it doesn't rain out. But the lady who booked me said, oh, your website, we weren't really sure if you were real or not. It looked very Republican. I'm like, well, that was by design, because I want everyone to feel welcome to read the words. So what I did is I put the lines that I use in the brochure are in each category. And then I also included links to articles written very well by people who are professionals in that field, or like the Military Times. So I referenced, so if someone in the military, maybe that's their jargon, so they'll feel better, So glad I did that for LGBTQ. And, I try to pick like that, and try to update. There's so much good stuff out there that I respect journalists so much. And I wanted to make sure that there was more that people can read. So I spoke in Walton County 2 nights ago. And then yesterday I was with the Vote and Vax. I am willing to do more things like this to reach more people in person. Like, I'm one person, but I'm definitely willing to meet with you and any groups that you can put me in front of.
I see also you have Bill, go ahead if did you have something?
Yeah, I just want to make mention that when I saw the name Ziglag, I was trying to figure where, and then when you said King David and the battles that took place there, it's amazing that these people are Christian, seems like in name only. But the PowerPoint, I'm befuddled. The fact that the Dems don't have a lot of this information on loops. They do talk about Project 2025, but the Joe Citizen, that doesn't. But to have some of those key points on a PowerPoint, the Democrats, I think, are missing the ball on this one, because that we did a forum on 2025 and all of what they're privatizing and doing away with, and their hires and the loyalty foolishness we touched on, but you took it to another level. I'm glad that this program is recorded and runs. Mr. Watson, the owner of the station, does run these shows sometimes on a loop. So thank you very much for all you do, ma'am, and to not make this a partisan issue, but an American issue, which is what it really is. With the rhetoric of police should have the ability to be violent for one day or just an hour, that martial law kind of talk, it won't be police, but it'll be the military. So that's the mindset. The fact that this race is a dead heat purpose is amazing to me. Just simply amazing.
Well, throw the ball, Bill. Throw the ball. Tell him, please. Yes, everything you said, I agree with. Thank you. Thank you.
I see that you have the page numbers where people can go to find this information if they want to read that Project 2025. I see where you got it, on cutting public schools and federal funding for public schools, and parents are the primary educators on 319 through 351.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yes.
how can parents be the primary? I mean, they can be educators, and they can educate their children to a point. And unless they are educators, it's going to be difficult for them to educate their children.
Yeah. I put an exact quote in here under support education. They wrote excludes page 10. Okay. Page 10 excludes intellectual sophistication, advanced degrees, or financial success as living well. So they don't believe that having an education is living, or even living well, is a priority. They want women, and JD Vance said this already. He already said it. He can't keep, thankfully, he can't keep his mouth shut. They want women just to stay at home and have children and cook and clean and teach their kids. They also want to take back the they want to have fly-by-night schools again. The Biden administration has done so well in with education and closing schools down that were taking advantage of Americans. I personally worked for ITT Technical Institute. I used to go into ITT Tech for ITT Tech. I went into high schools and I did financial presentations for them. And I just said, if you don't go to our school, go to any school. Education is important. That was the main message. And then they put me in the house, and then they a guy didn't sit. He was there for like maybe 15 minutes and left. So I shredded his paperwork, and the director of the school came to me and said, "Well, where's Bob's paperwork?" And I said, "Oh, I shredded it." And he got furious and wanted to fire me. Well, he did fire me, but I quit first. Basically, he wanted to charge this guy, and I wasn't going to let him. The guy didn't sit by our records, by our book, 45 minutes or more. And I was like, you know what? I care about that guy more than I do this and your numbers, your stats. We're going to do what's right, and I left that was my last day there. I made that choice. I knew it. So when they closed down and everybody got their money back because of the Biden administration, I was high-fiving, woo, like from way back, I was just like, yes, more of that. And that was like in 2003 when that happened. So you said something about the Democratic Party and how they should be all put together. There was a lady gave me a link, and I did one of these, and I used the link, and then I cross-referenced it, and it didn't match at all. So I asked her, I said, "Where did you get that link? Because none of it is right." She said she got it off the Harris administration, their website, and I read up on it, and the guy that did it used an AI program. So the AI program generated by feel, like if it said gender, it automatically meant transgender. It didn't mean gender, women, rights, equal pay, stuff like that. Or it was off by pages or concepts. It was a nightmare. So I had already gone through it, but then I had to go back and make sure. So even though it has the number here, the page number, nowhere on here or on my website do you go back to the book or back to their website. I went to their website. It's very nice looking. They put a lot of millions of dollars into it. It's slick. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to push traffic over there. That nobody needs to go over there. That's why I have the Wikipedia. That's why I have vote.org, my website. I was like, there's the page
Wow.
number if you want to cross-reference, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they want to make farmers buy federal crop insurance and eliminate subsidies for farmers, which keeps the price of grocery down and our fruits and vegetables and all of that and meats that we eat. It's they want to get rid of the subsidies. That means that the farmers now, if they got to buy crop insurance, that means they're gonna have to raise the prices in order to afford to buy that. Because if they can't get FEMA when things are bad, and that there are times when farms flood, or you have those bad years where it becomes like desert land when it's not raining, that farm going, that stuff gonna not grow or dry up on the farm. So if they can't get subsidies, we're gonna be in trouble as far as food is concerned. And we know that with all these fires and with they keep saying 100-year flood would come every year now. They are washing farmers out, and like in the Carolinas and places like that where people are farming, and their produce is underwater now.
Exactly. Yeah, they want to do where they have to get everybody has to get the insurance, but who's going to pay, who is going to own that insurance?
Right.
And then they only want them to only get like one, like I think they can get 3 right now. So they're choking them out. They're just like FEMA, you know, they're just trying to like make them look bad and not support them. And like you said, with the weather that we have that's going on right now, things are flooded out. I mean, they want individual states to be in charge of their own say. How does that work? Where does that money come from? Like, and then you want to run everything on crypto? What? I mean, the only thing that does, running money on cryptocurrency, electronic money, is that the blockchain hides who the sender is. So anyone can own us. That's the deal. That's just like those watches, those $100,000 watches that Trump was selling that you could buy off cryptocurrency. It was the essence of the watch. They didn't even have the real watch. They had the essence of the watch, and you could buy the essence of the watch. It's like concepts of a healthcare plan. You know, like what? It's money laundering at its highest form to the highest bidder. So it just it's dirty. It's not good.
Yeah, you got on page 628, eliminate climate change organizations and climate change studies. So they don't even want to study climate change.
No, that's Barry's side. That is attack philanthropy. That's what he calls this whole movement, attack philanthropy. I think the man is in his 90s and he is running the show. Yeah, climate change denialism is what it is, and we're living in it. It is real. It can't be more gaslighting than having to duck and cover and drive 3 states over because yours is getting washed away. What? Like, we're literally living reality, and people are want us to just say, no, we're good, and shut us off from the rest of the world while we're at it. Like, it doesn't make sense.
And the thing about it, they want to get rid of these professional people who have been working in government, civil service, who have been working in government for years, and know how to run the system that benefits all of us. Because if you go and purge all these people, that means Medicare, if you get it, will be delayed. Your Social Security, if you get it, will be delayed. Your if you're getting returns on your income tax, that could not be even given to you for a year because the people not going to know what to do. Uh, they are talking about purging between 50 and 100,000 civil servants. As you said, you know, if you are not loyal to him, to a person, you know, like he's a god, then you are out, you are fired. Even though you're doing your job the way it should be done. But if you're not a Christian nationalist, which is nothing but another form of dictatorship, used under the name Christianity, as you know, Hitler and others have done, and Mussolini, they use these things to kill people and to destroy the lives of many people. You know, genocide, everything else they're using, but we have to make sure that we get the word out. And I was glad that for you to come tonight to talk about it because people need to tie this thing together. They need to know that if we don't do something in the next 30 days, that this will take place January 20th. They
It's
already,
already,
yeah,
it's
it's
already.
already in effect.
Yeah,
It's,
it is. It's scary. Just super fast. Some people, some naysayers, they say, oh, he can't fire everybody. That's crazy. But when he was in office, he didn't fill all the seats. When he did fill the seats, they were acting. He would fire people right and left, and then he would put his cronies in there to do jobs and give them Medal of Freedoms. Like, what? It was a joke. So if you don't think he's just going to go in there and wipe the slate clean and insert ziglags who don't know what they're doing and just say, yes, how high, that is what we're looking at. So thank you for having me, you guys.
Thanks for coming.
It
Derek?
has been great. It has been a pleasure having you with us again. Please don't be a stranger. I will make sure that I forward your information over to Jill and Christina if she doesn't have it, so you can make your way to Santa Rosa and Okaloosa County. So
Thank
we
you so much.
appreciate you being with us. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and sign off.
Okay, take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
That was Miss Sylvia Lake, everybody, for those who didn't catch her name and information at the top of the show. She has a great presentation, as you just saw, on Project 2025. So we look forward to having her back. But this kind of highlights the importance of making sure that you understand what's at stake when we get into this election cycle, or as we're in this election cycle, I should say, because vote by mail ballots have already dropped. So people are already voting at this very time. So this is critical information. We need to pass it along and share with as many people as we can. Mr. McIntosh?
Just one, I was looking at the news this morning, and on Ali Belty, I think I'm saying his name right. Anyway,
Ali Belty.
yeah, they was talking about 20%. They up 20% of black males may vote for Donald Trump, and and I'm like, that is, I'm wondering, is it true? If it's true, or is it just something that people are throwing out there? Or
remember, I said just last week, we go back to 2022, we had about 15 or so of our black men who did not vote for what's her name? Stacey Abrams.
right.
So
Stacey,
the statistic does hold some weight.
but it was blowing my mind this morning. I couldn't believe it. How in the world you gonna vote a criminal, a rapist, a fraud, a two-time impeached, 34-count felon over somebody with integrity, with the intellect that can run the country, that's an intelligent person that has done the work to get where she is, and for somebody to be so misogynistic that they will vote for this criminal over over somebody as intelligent as this woman is, that has done the work, that went to school and got the education, that has been attorney, district attorneys, attorney general, senator, vice president. And you still running around talking about she put some people in jail. That's kind of ignorance that's out there, and you're gonna use that. And what I always try to tell people, that they thinking Donald Trump for some reason gonna pardon them if they did some kind of crime. He can't pardon this.
I don't know that it would be a pardon thing, because most of the ones that need pardoning aren't able to vote. So it may speak to our inferiorities, man. It may very well speak to our inferiorities. These Negroes are done lost it.
Lost it. And I'm like, nah, this can't be real. But it's a possibility it can be.
It can, man. It can. I don't know, man. But it has. I mean, Derek, numbers don't lie. I can't look up who voted where, but the numbers are out there. You can do it. They can tell. It's a breakdown, man. I'm joking. Since reached out to me, calling me a super voter, saying I done voted, and they know how I voted, where I voted. So it's a travesty that our minds are really that messed up, man. That's sad.
It is. It really is. I just, I was just flabbergasted this morning when they were saying that, and that these people gonna actually vote for Donald Trump. And I'm saying it's got to be a mistake, you know. But that can be that can be the margin of difference of whether she win or not. And these fools don't realize when they talking all that trash about Trump, that Trump talking about mass deportation. Now they're not gonna know the difference between you and a Haitian, regardless. You know,
Amen, brother.
they're not gonna know they're not gonna know the difference between a light-skinned black person and a Puerto Rican or a Mexican.
They ain't gonna care.
They're not gonna care. You know,
Collateral damage, baby.
yeah. I don't care how well you speak.
That's right. Or your education level.
Right. They saying mass deportation. They're talking about concentration camps, and they're talking about putting a mass amount of people in jail. They're talking about expediting the death penalty, uh, killing more people. You know, just like the Supreme Court rejected this innocent man that couple week before last, and they put him to death, and with evidence to show that he more likely didn't commit the crime. But that's what they're talking about doing, expediting death penalty even before you can, find out that you are exonerated. Now, if that was the case, there's a lot of people that are exonerated today they wouldn't be here. But they want to expedite it and make it even harder to do an investigation and find out whether whether you are innocent or not. Yeah. And y'all, it's another. I know we talked. Go ahead, Derek.
Oh, no, I was going, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What I was about to do was change the subject, but no, go ahead.
Go ahead. You can
No,
go ahead. Check.
I was thinking in my mind, I said we had mentioned last week, and it took me off course. It was taking us very off course, so I apologize. But we had talked about discussing with the viewers some of the information regarding the 6 ballot amendments and I just got a text asking if we were going to talk about it because we said we were last week. So I was pulling it up, and I'm hoping that we could spend whatever 45 minutes that we have left talking about it, if that's okay with everybody.
Well, Jerry had a thought. Go ahead with your thought, Jerry, before he does that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, don't forget, it's another hurricane behind this Helena that's out there called Milton. Yeah, Milton. Is that right? Good code.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah. Heading toward that same path.
Yeah,
a little different path, but it is now. The latest model says it will be a Cat 4 as well instead of a Cat 3. Just because of how warm the water is and how slow it's moving, and then how fast it's going to move. It might hit as a
3
weak 4, strong 3, but it will be a 4 before it hits. Could be Tampa, could be a little bit lower, but what they do know is those are the same places. If you look at the state of Florida as a whole, from Helene, Pinellas County lost the most people. They lost 12 people. And that's this storm is going right back there, even though the actual storm in Florida hit right outside of Tallahassee around the Perry area. So they just need to be vigilant. And I think that it's critical that when they give you these little windows, because they only have a little window, but they did have a window
Yes.
since Friday. But now that they know, I know I've talked to a few people who are like, yeah, but we're trying to wait to see which way it's going to go. This is not a storm that you should be waiting to see which way
Right.
it's going to go. It's
Right.
going to hit the coast somewhere. And if you're in that cone, you need to at least go inland. I can't tell you to go to Tallahassee or come here where you'd be safe for now anyway. But they should definitely go inland.
I don't think the national media is doing any justice with Helene. That thing, it was devastating up through the Carolinas, man.
Yeah, and the thing about it, many of the roads are gone. I mean, one place where they had had a long stretch, it's just gone. And
Gone.
some that they had to walk down the mountain to get down where they could get some food and water. And
Yeah.
they said elderly are still up there, and the only way up there is by helicopter. And so yeah, so I would encourage anybody to watch out for this coming Hurricane Milton out there. So because and then it is a possibility it could jog another direction.
Amen.
Jog this way, but just jog if it go jog on out in the ocean somewhere. Just stay
And
out there.
and and for Pete's sake, if you're in the path and live in a mobile home, please, I don't know who Pete is, but please get out of there, man. Go to higher ground. Go somewhere. That young lady with the 2 infants in the Carolinas that lost their lives, man, in a mobile home, man. Please.
This thing, 227 people are dead from this thing, and
Yes.
and
Devastating.
it's people still missing.
Yes.
They got out somehow,
Hundreds.
and
Hundreds still
yeah,
missing.
yeah. So that's I'm saying people need to be on their P's and Q's when it comes to these because these things are getting bigger and stronger and meaner. They not playing, and it's all because we didn't do anything. What is not good stewards of the earth. So
Right.
not us, but the people that's in charge that hold the purse string to the climate that could do something, won't do it, and encouraging people not to even believe in. And Trump went the other day and said FEMA wasn't doing anything for the people that's there.
Political turn tragedies in for political gain is sickening.
Yeah.
I do want to, before you go to your amendments, because I think this is maybe even more critical than the amendments, that these storms that have hit, so Helene and soon to be Milton, the impact that it will absolutely have on this election cycle. If we remember Michael and when Michael hit and the trickery that DeSantis did, he did, try to help those people that were rich and not of color and made sure that they had voting locations. But if you were Black and brown and in locations that were hit hard, you had nowhere to go. You had to drive 45 minutes to an hour and no streets, no roads, no cars, no gas, and you could not vote. I wish we could have on Friday put an all call across the state of Florida and said, get your vote by mail ballot and go take it to your SOE office. Drop it off before the storm even gets here.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. And so I think it's critical that we spend at least a few minutes talking about what does that mean? What is the impact and what do we need to do? And I would start with those people that are going to be unfortunately hit by this catastrophic storm and that were hit by Helene. They really aren't thinking about voting. I wouldn't be. I know what's on the line, but I might, if I have nothing and I've lost everything and I can't get food and water and diapers and toilet paper, I'm really not concentrating on voting. So that means that everybody else has to do everything possible. You need to make those phone calls. You need to talk to your neighbors. We just have to do everything because Florida's already literally neck and neck at best. So to wipe out some neighborhoods could be catastrophic.
And on top of that, there was a question asked this morning: have the Gulf Coast become uninsurable? And that's something that we need to think about. And if it's uninsurable, that means in the future, you might not even be able to buy, you might not even be able to afford a home because you're gonna have to insure the place if it's uninsurable to live on the Gulf Coast anymore, or really most of the South. That's what you're talking about, from Texas all the way to California.
Yes.
So can we also mention about how Matt Gaetz voted against FEMA right before Helene hit, and Rick Scott skipped the vote altogether, didn't even show up.
Right.
And then wants to turn around and then ask FEMA for money for Florida. So definitely Florida needs it, but Florida needs politicians that are gonna fight for Floridians. Florida needs politicians that are gonna say, hey, climate change is real. This is what we're gonna do. Florida needs politicians that are gonna work with the federal government to get the aid we need, because we know we're gonna face natural disasters. We know it. And so you got two folks that have a huge platform that either went completely against it or didn't even show up. And so that's what we're sitting on here right now.
Vern, and Jared look like we might get out of this thing, but y'all young folk, boy, y'all better. Oh my goodness, boy, I tell you.
Okay, Derek.
All right. Well, wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of the sixth ballot amendment. So I wanted to get us to just kind of walk through all six and what they mean, and hopefully we can get that done in about a 30-minute window. So what I've done is I've pulled up so that everybody can read through, and I'm going to ask that we each take one of the amendments just to read through, and I'll put it up on the screen so that everybody can see it. If you don't have your League of Women Voters handout readily available for you. So we will start with amendment. I guess I'll go across what my screen looks like.
You're gonna have to read mine, Derek.
Okay.
I had eye surgery, so I'm trying to see.
That is absolutely fine. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. McIntosh, and we will go through what is Amendment 1. And let me pull that up. Wrong file. And so Amendment 1 is basically the partisan election of members to school district or district school boards. The ballot language reads, proposing amendments to the state constitution requires members of a district school board to be elected in a partisan election rather than a nonpartisan election, and to specify that the amendment only applies to elections held on or after November 2026 general election. However, partisan primary elections may occur before the 2026 general election for the purposes of nominating political party candidates to that office for placement on the 2026 general election ballot. So synopsis of that is simply as it reads, the school board elections in Florida are currently nonpartisan. That means all registered voters, no matter their party affiliation, can currently vote for the school board candidate of their choice in the primary and general elections. In addition, candidates for school board races, like candidates for all nonpartisan offices, are currently prohibited from campaigning based on party affiliation. What's important to note here is that Florida had partisan school board elections until 1998, when voters approved Amendment 11, with 64% of the vote. Amendment 11 prohibited partisan primaries and party labels in school board elections. Amendment 11 was referred to the ballot by the Florida Constitution Revision Commission. Florida is one of 41 states with state laws providing for nonpartisan school board election. So what this means, for those in case we're not clear, is that right now we are voting for school boards in the state of Florida based on a nonpartisan way. We don't declare, candidates don't declare their school board races. This doesn't declare party in those school board races. The amendment that's currently on the ballot seeks to change that. Mr. McIntosh, anybody, what say you to that?
I think it should stay nonpartisan. It should not be partisan. And people, once you get to that point, I mean, it's gonna be just like everything else, just a war going on.
Right.
Democrats and Republicans, the school board should be there to educate people, our children and all children, not the political football for somebody to play with at their leisure. And once it becomes partisan, I think then, you're going to find that it's already bad enough that money is not going to areas where it should be going, but it's going to go to those areas where people have the majority, Republican, whether it's Republican or Democrat. And so I don't think that it should change. I think it should stay as it is. 64% of the people approved it, and that Amendment 11, and it should stay the way it is as of now. And I don't see what benefit it would have to be a nonpartisan. To be partisan, I mean, I don't see the benefit of a partisan school board.
Right.
So I would say that this really knocks folks out of the ability to vote, especially if you're an NPA, minor party, anything like that. I can tell you from perspective, like in my county, we're a really small county, we're a super red county. It's hard to find folks to vote. The school board is one thing we know we can surely, all of us within the county, vote on, regardless of who's running. And so it opens it up. We don't get these write-in loopholes. We don't get knocked off the ballot or in situations where we can't vote. So there was a lot of work done to make this nonpartisan, and I think it's super important that we keep it this way. I think the other thing to know about is this is set up by the Republican legislature. This isn't something that citizens brought forward. This was set up because Republicans didn't like that we all can vote.
I think what's also, just so we're covering the amendments, what I did is also provided what organizations around the state of Florida recommend. So if you see everywhere, most all organizations have recommended a no vote for Amendment 1, which includes that of the Florida Democratic Party. So this has already been to the point, it's already been adjudicated as referenced in 1998 through Amendment 11. We don't need to revisit it. It was a Republican legislature led ballot amendment, so people did not want that. So we recommend a no vote on that. Jill, I believe you're up next for Amendment 2.
Those are the eyes you get when Derek doesn't say, everybody have your amendments ready. So we'll see if you put it on the screen large enough and I can read it, then great. If not, you will be having this show for you.
I got it. I'm always looking out for you. I don't know why you don't think I did. Can you read it? Do you want me to read it for you?
Florida Amendment 2, right to fish and hunt. proposing amendment to the state constitution to preserve forever fishing and hunting, including by the use of traditional methods as a public right and preferred means of responsibly, managing and controlling fish and wildlife. I want to make that a whole nother word. Specifies that the amendment does not limit the authority granted to the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission under section of Article 4 of the state constitution. Synopsis. The right to hunt and fish is presently in the Florida statutes. In 2002, Florida Statute Title 28, Chapter 372 recognized that hunting, fishing, and taking of game are a valued part of the cultural heritage of Florida, and as such should be preserved for Floridians. The proposed Amendment 2 contains two provisions. One would provide and preserve forever a state constitutional right to hunt and fish. The second would declare the hunting and fishing are preferred means of responsibly managing and controlling fish and wildlife. This amendment was referred to the ballot by a majority vote of 2023 Legislative Senate 38, and the no vote was 161, and then in the House 116-0. You want me to keep going down here? You need to scroll up.
So do you have any thoughts?
No, I'm going to let you handle that. That's not one. We said no. I mean, I can tell you what the Florida Democratic Party said. I can tell you what the Black Caucus said. I can tell you what everybody said. They said no, but I don't have, I think that that's something you can go ahead and somebody else can delve into if you have feelings.
I think it is what you wrote in the synopsis, that it's already codified in the Florida statutes and therefore does not need to be an amendment. Because we do have the right to hunt and fish, so no need to make it that. Mr. Vernon.
In layman's terms, what do that really mean? They're gonna take away your right to hunt and fish, or give you your right to hunt and fish? I don't fully understand it.
You already have the right to hunt and fish.
Right.
This says that you're going to have the right to hunt and fish forever.
Right. It's a statute right now. They want to make an amendment, and everything does not mean to be an amendment. There's reasons why we have amendments.
Okay.
To tell you that you can hunt and fish, they're not taking it away from you. So why?
So what's the real meaning behind it then? There got to be a reason why that is that. I would technically, I would think I would vote no against that, or maybe I don't know, but there got to be a reason why they're putting this on the ballot. Okay, they're trying to codify this, that you will forever have the right to hunt and fish. Am I reading that right?
Yes.
Okay. Why? Why is that? Okay.
This is an NRA-backed initiative along with all of the hunting and big game organizations. So
well, think about it this way. I guess we got to look at it in this way. I would probably vote no against that, because you really think about it. Hunting and fishing is nothing but a sport right now. Okay, as resources are dwindling on the earth. Okay, and is there really a real need to hunt and fish? I know it's just a recreational thing for some folks, but in the future it might not be. It might be a survival mode. So what I think about sometimes is that the killing of animals just for trophy purposes gives me a little issue. I don't know, just to shoot them and kill them just so you can cut the heads off, so you can hang them on your wall, and that's it. And I don't know, but anyway, let's continue.
So a statute is created for a new law. So they created a new law under that statute when they put it into place that said you could hunt and fish. Amendments are made to change the law. So the amendment says that you can do it forever. So they just want you to know that forever. I would just make sure, I would have liked for them to put animals in there so they ain't hunting people. But that's just me.
I believe there's something else behind that. that they don't want to regulate.
Right.
And that if once it passed, regulation is gone out the window.
Well,
So
yeah, that's what, when you
Be
look
able
at
to get
it
your snapper
right
whenever
now,
you want.
I'm making generalizations. I don't hunt and fish, but you know how there's like, you can only fish,
You'll get your
five,
snapper
five
whenever you want.
groupers, and you can shoot 3 bucks or 3 deer per
Mhm.
the hunting season. This allows you to be able to do
Whatever.
whatever, however, for without limitations. Also endangering wildlife and things that are protected classes. This allows for people in Santa Rosa and Okaloosa County to start shooting bear or more bear than what they may
Right after
already
they
shoot.
leave Pensacola, Escambia County, yep, and
Yeah,
run over
no,
here. Mhm.
we don't have bears like y'all do.
It is.
So, you know,
Give them the
we
tick and give them the Robert Kennedy.
It
yeah,
isn't
so
legal, but it isn't
what's
legal,
not,
but we're,
it's not legal what?
to Jill's hunting people, it isn't legal, but we're hunted just the same.
Yeah. So as Amendment 1, this was also a Republican legislature ballot initiative. This is not something that the people wanted. Christina.
I guess my concern would also be on commercial fishing, and, commercial game. So if, what's to stop a company? Sometimes like within the regulations, you can only fish for certain types of fish during a certain season and you can't fish out of season. Same with hunting. You can only hunt during a certain season and you can't hunt out of season. This, I think, just like to what Mr. McIntosh was saying, all those regulations would be, out the door and, not just for the not just for the everyday person, but again, with commercializing and all the commercial fishing that we have here and everything else across the state.
So again, just for the spirit of transparency, most of the organizations had no opinion on this, as evidenced by the white boxes, but you do see 2 organizations that vote no. The third would be the Florida Democratic Party, who also agreed with a no vote for this. Most environmental organizations also oppose this amendment. So moving on to Amendment 3, which is the adult personal use of marijuana. The ballot language reads allows adults 21 years or older to possess, purchase, or use marijuana products and marijuana accessories for non-medical personal consumption by smoking, ingestion, or otherwise. Allows medical marijuana treatment centers and other state licensed entities to acquire, cultivate, process, manufacture, sell, and distribute such products and accessories. Applies to Florida law, does not change or immunize violations of federal law. Establishes possession limits for personal use, allows consistent legislation, defines terms, provides effective dates. So the synopsis of this is presently non-medical possession and use of marijuana is illegal under state and federal law, and violators of that law are subject to criminal prosecution depending upon the amount of marijuana they possess or use. Proposed Amendment 3 would legalize recreational marijuana for adults 21 years old or older, and older. Individuals would be allowed to possess up to 3 ounces of marijuana or 85 grams with up to 5 grams in the form of concentrate. Existing medical marijuana treatment centers would be authorized under the initiative to sell marijuana to adults for personal use. The state legislature could modify state law to permit the licensing of entities other than existing medical marijuana treatment centers to cultivate and sell marijuana products. The amendment's financial impact primarily comes from expedited sales tax collections. If the amendment passes, sales of non-medical marijuana would be subject to sales tax. Based on other states' experiences, expected retail sales of non-medical marijuana would generate between 195.6 and $431.3 million annually in state and local sales tax revenues once the retail market is fully operational. If Florida adds an excise tax, like some other states that have legalized recreational marijuana wanted, the amount of new revenue could more than double, and new regulatory structure would be needed, but regulatory costs estimated to be 11.4 million after the first year will probably be offset by regulatory fee income. So again, this was a amendment that was placed on the ballot through citizen-led initiatives. So you had to sign a what's that thing called? A petition to get this on the ballot, and we got enough signatures to create that. So as such, what say you all about regarding this amendment? What do you think?
So
Go ahead, Jill.
I'm going to share, I was shocked. I hate to even say this, I probably shouldn't even share this, but I got in the mail a did not come to me. It came to my previous renter. So just for the record, they were sending it to some Republicans. But on the flyer was a fabulous picture of 45 saying that he totally supports Amendment 3. The only thing he was missing in their creativity of being so what's the word you always use, Bill, that they just know exactly what to do, is his signature. I was like, I cannot believe this. That 45 is saying this is okay. So it very well could pass, because that would be Democrats and Republicans saying it needs to pass. And you already had MPAs that also signed the petition. But I will tell you, they're quite crafty in how, and you wanted to know earlier, why is it that Black men might be saying, hey, it's not so bad, when you see 45 saying, I don't want to put you in jail for such minor infractions. I mean, it's all on there. That's what he says. And they're like, see, he does care about us. He doesn't, but I was just shocked. Thought I would share that they are crafty.
Yeah, that's why. Oh, Bill, you on mute, Bill. You're on mute.
Say, go ahead. I think you say go ahead.
I was gonna say they know that marijuana is safer than hard alcohol. They know that. They've been knowing it for years. You know, and because only thing you're gonna do is want to, your biggest problem is you're gonna want to eat everything that you put around you. Your refrigerator might get reduced a little bit, but they know that alcohol is one of the major killers, and of people in this country, and it causes all kinds of effects. Hard alcohol I'm talking about. Because people dying from cirrhosis of the livers and heart problems, and major
car accidents.
Just a whole plethora of things.
So maybe on this one, we should just stick with vote yes on 3, because there are other sides to this we don't want to get into. So let's just vote yes on 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there are car accidents, and there is abuse, and there is a whole bunch of stuff that happens with people that are on marijuana. I don't want it to be like marijuana really just is grown in the grass and it don't hurt anybody.
I just want to take away from the fact that we can't say that Black men are going with Trump because he's yes with it, because Kamala's yes with it too. So that we will not give them an escape.
So as you see here, most organizations, like including NAACP, SEIU, the ACLU, Florida Organization for Women, Equal Ground, which we are all fans and love very much, and the National Council of Jewish Women, all said yes on 3. Those that you see white boxes just had no opinion. So they're not saying no, they just have no opinion. Mm-hmm. If we move on to Amendment 4, Christina, I believe you are up.
Okay, so Amendment 4, no law shall prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion before viability or when necessary to protect the patient's health, as determined by patient's healthcare provider. This amendment does not change the legislature's constitutional authority to require notification to a parent or guardian before a minor has an abortion. Synopsis. The following is the history of abortion regulations in Florida. In 2022, a 5-4 vote, the Supreme Court of the United States found that there was no federal constitutional right to abortion and overruled Roe v. Wade of 1973. It was left to the states to regulate abortion. Before 2022, abortions were legal in Florida up to the federal limits of Roe. In 2004, Florida voters approved a constitutional amendment requiring parental notification for minors seeking abortion. In 2012, voters rejected an amendment limiting public funds for abortion. In 2022, the Florida legislature passed a bill which created a ban on most abortions after 15 weeks. And in 2023, the Florida legislature passed a second bill to ban abortion after 6 weeks, limited exceptions for life of a woman, rape, or incest. The 6-week ban took effect on May 1st, 2024. Proposed Amendment 4 states that the government cannot interfere with a woman's decision to have an abortion up to viability. See definition below. After viability, if abortion is necessary to protect the woman's health, that decision is between the woman and her medical care provider. This amendment does not mandate unlimited abortion in Florida. This amendment does not override parental notification for an abortion in Florida. This amendment allows abortion before fetal viability, see definition below, or when necessary to protect the patient's health as determined by the patient's healthcare provider. In the state of Florida, viability is defined by Florida statute title 20, is that 29?
29.
29.
Yeah, 29.
Public Health Chapter 390.011. Viability means the stage of fetal development when the life of a fetus is sustainable outside the womb through standard medical measures. During all of 2021 and the first half of 2022, under Roe v. Wade, the Florida Agency for Healthcare Administration reported that 0% of abortions were performed in the third trimester beginning the 24th week. Proposed Amendment 4 was placed on the ballot through a citizens initiative. Since 2022, 7 U.S. states have had an abortion-related amendment on the ballot. 4 of those amendments were written to create a constitutional right to abortion, and all 4 amendments passed. 3 of the proposed amendments were written to prohibit abortion, and all 3 were defeated.
Okay, wanted to also share, because this one you'll see on your ballot, we want to share because this is why it's important to know. We all know that this one is an absolute yes on 4. Everybody should be voting yes on 4. But DeSantis and the Republican-led legislature are going through extreme measures to dissuade the vote using taxpayer dollars. So I want you guys to, I'm going to play the commercial that's currently on television right now that you're paying for. So you should know, you should see it. And so, wait, let me share my screen correctly. Hold on. Wait, how do I do this thing? Okay. Can you guys hear? Can you hear it?
No. And as Derek is setting that up, this one actually tells you what it is and tells you what parts of it are inaccurate.
Yeah, I'm trying to even get to my thing. I get it. No, here it is.
Commercial that makes a lot of claims about Amendment 4, which protects abortion rights for women. I'm breaking down each one and getting you the truth.
Warning signs can be hard to spot, but dangerous to ignore.
This ad from the Republican Party of Florida urging people to vote no.
Unlike other amendments, Amendment 4 has no definitions.
It's true that there are no definitions in Amendment 4, but there are seldom definitions in constitutional amendments. They're not required, as long as they're reviewed by the state Supreme Court for clarity, and the courts approved Amendment 4. So we're rating this claim misleading. Claim 2?
Without definitions, these words could mean almost anything, enabling abortions at any time for almost any reason.
Here's the amendment, and while it is brief, like most, if passed, the courts will fill in the gaps. Florida law is clear and already has definitions. For example, viability is defined as up to the point a child can survive on its own outside the womb. So we rate the claim misleading. Claim 3?
Amendment 4 goes far beyond Roe v. Wade, empowering abortion clinics to approve late-term abortions without doctors, even after science says the baby can feel pain.
Our meter says this is false, and here's why. Current Florida law requires only physicians to perform an abortion, and that doesn't change. And again, the language in the amendment doesn't suggest that anyone but a doctor would perform an abortion. Claim 4?
Amendment 4 even cuts parents out of the loop, removing Florida's parental consent law and replacing it with notification. So what looks like a safeguard is actually a loophole.
Bring up the meter, and we're going to rate this false because Article 10, Section 22 of Florida law already requires parental notification. And again, read the amendment. It states that parental notification won't be impacted. Parental consent law is also required following a state Supreme Court ruling in April.
Whether it's fraud or just flawed, Amendment 4 is not what it seems. No definitions, no doctors, no parental consent.
Now, the ad simply ignores the facts, which we showed you written in state law. We rate the ad as mostly false. In the studio, Dave Elias, NBC2.
Are those the types of
Yeah.
So they share with you how egregiously misrepresentative and just downright untruthful the amendment is. But in case for those people who don't see it, they try to attack you on your ballot. If you've received not that you can see it, if you've received your vote by mail ballot, they've actually put information on this, unlike they didn't do it for any others except amendments 3 and 4. And it says the financial impact of this amendment cannot be determined due to ambiguities and uncertainties surrounding the amendment's impact. It says the proposed, and they actually have a paragraph on here. It says the proposed amendment would result in significantly more abortions and fewer live births per year in Florida. The increase in abortions could even be greater if the amendment invalidates laws requiring parental consent before minors undergo abortion, those ensuring only licensed physicians perform abortions. There's also uncertainty about whether the amendment will require the state to subsidize abortions with public funds. Litigation to resolve those and other uncertainties will result in additional costs to the state government and state courts that could negatively impact the state budget. An increase in abortions may negatively affect the growth of state and local revenues over time. Because the fiscal impact to increase abortions on state and local revenues and costs cannot be estimated with precision, the total impact of the proposed amendment is indeterminate. They have lied to you on your ballot. They have printed ballots to lie to you to try to manipulate your vote. So please make sure, everybody, that you're voting yes on 4, along with all of the other organizations who include, if you look across the board, everybody's overwhelmingly yes, except Common Cause. They had no position on it. But you see yes, as well as the Florida Democratic Party. It's all yes on 4. Bill, wait, do we want to just carry the last 2 for next week? We got 6 minutes. I don't know if we can get through it. We'll cover the last 2 in next week's episode.
I mean, you can go ahead, Derek. I would suggest you tell them what the vote, show them
Yeah.
thing, because they're voting this week. They might not
Right,
wait till
yeah.
next
Yeah.
week.
So we've got amendment 5 and 6, which is one on it's the property homestead exemption, which increases that for 75. And most people have a no position on this except for what is this NAACP that they said no to, as well as the Florida Democratic Party. This is a ballot-led initiative. And lastly is Amendment 6, which is campaign financing. And most groups across the state of Florida have a no vote, including the Florida Democratic Party. So in essence, you're voting yes on 3 and 4 and no on 1, 2, 5, and 6. And we'll go into a little bit more detail on, you have a cattail on your screen? We'll go into more detail. That threw me. Next week on the property exemption and the campaign financing and why those are bad for Floridians and for the state of Florida as a whole. Turn it back over to you, Mr. McIntosh.
Yeah, just wanted to again reiterate that don't forget to get out and vote. If you haven't already voted, go the early voting. I mean, voting by mail already. We already can do that, right?
Yeah, if you haven't registered, you got to better register tomorrow. And then tomorrow is it.
Jill get into the mix and won't let her.
Even the cat wants to vote. Let's go.
So yes, tomorrow is the last day to register to vote.
Yes.
We do recommend that if you have not registered, fill out your registration online, or if you have a paper application, you can fill it out and take it directly to your supervisor of elections. However, I have been told by the Escambia County Supervisor of Elections that if it's postmarked, if you mailed it in this past weekend for some reason, and they have not received it, as long as it's postmarked by the 7th, on or before the 7th, your registration will be valid and you should be able to register and vote in this year's election cycle. I'm not sure if that is true for Santa Rosa and Okaloosa's, but per Robert Bender, as of yesterday, he did say that that would be the case for those in Escambia County. But to be on the safe side, take it in to the SOE's office. Please do so. It is imperative.
It also is imperative that we vote because we still got a Supreme Court with no guardrails and no concern about the American people. It became a partisan hack program, really, with these six conservatives that are just tied to Trump, and they are those who want to delay this vote so it will fall in the hands of either the Supreme Court or the Congress. And with the Republican Congress in charge, nobody can take their seats until January 20th. If they are there, they won't certify the election, which means that even if you win a congressional seat, you might not even be seated. So it is important that we vote overwhelmingly to make sure that that Trump do not win, because this dude, he was down there yesterday telling everybody FEMA wasn't coming to help him. So we have to make sure this dude don't ever become Kamala Harris is right. He should never have access to the White House or any other office again, ever.
If once he loses, he won't. Trust me,
Right.
he won't. That put off of his sentencing date was genius, I think.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think Kamala Harris is going to win overwhelmingly. So I hope she do. I hope she, I hope she, I'm not gonna do the book review. I've got my books in a box right now till I get through working on my house here. It's 9 o'clock, Derek.
All right. Well, we certainly do thank everyone for tuning in with us. We will make sure that we cover the last two amendments. We'll go over judges next week as well. So please make sure you tune in with us because we are in critical times. Make sure you register to vote. Make sure you sign up for vote by mail if you have not already done so. And more importantly, go vote. Early voting starts October the 21st for most counties. So please be sure to go and vote. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week, and we will see you here
Thank
next
you.
week.
Good night, everybody.
Our thoughts and prayers are with those that are in the path of Hurricane Milton.
Yes.
Bye-bye.